Welcome back to The Explainer. Let's just dive right into this, guys, because today we are breaking down the absolute visceral mud and blood climax of the 49th Chronicle of the Nullsbane, the battle for Irondale. If you've been following the lore, you know the tension has been boiling for quite some time, and today it completely spills over in a way that forever changes the landscape of this story. The Chronicle opens with a genuinely incredible moment. A portal burned open within the arena of Irondale. I mean, just imagine the intense heat, the blinding light cutting right through the dry dust of the Colosseum. Through this fiery gateway steps Ord, with little Otis perched right on his shoulder. It's such a striking detail, two of the smallest members of the party stepping out first. Because right behind them, an absolute tidal wave of a united army pouring onto the sands. Section 1. The army arrives. A united front enters the fray. So with forces from Hammerdeep and the Crystal Kingdom pouring in, and we're talking veterans here, like Jeremiah and Father Eric, we get this wild reaction from high above the arena. Henrik Featherstep, who is currently buried under his mind-controlled persona of High General Thraskall, responds to this overwhelming invasion with a chillingly calm, almost terrifying tactical detachment. He just snaps out orders, telling Tamakti to defend Uzgul and sending Snikrik to hide the evidence. Meanwhile, right beside him, Talnor doesn't even wait for a command. He just states he's going to go help General Durug, and literally leaps from the balcony directly into the violence below. Section 2. Chaos in the Arena. The Dual Breach. The Colosseum essentially becomes chaos given form. We're talking deafening steel, war cries, the visceral crunch of shattered stone. And the escalation here is unbelievably rapid. Within the very first minute, the Hammerdeep forces crash right into the Duergar lines. By minute 5, the southeastern wall literally explodes inward, as Cedric Featherstep and 5 massive treants just shatter the stone. And then right at the 10-minute mark, the northwestern wall bursts apart. Calypso surges through with a massive wave of water in her sharks. Within moments, the fighters are wading through thigh-high bloody water in the middle of a colossal battle. It is total, absolute pandemonium. Section 3. Breaking the General's Mind. A Father and Son. Now, as the narrative zooms into that flooded mud, there's this really stark dichotomy between two desperate fights happening simultaneously. On one hand, you have Roberto, Okazaki, and Thane working flawlessly together. They're using phantasms, great swords, relentless spells to wear down General Durug. But right nearby, a completely different kind of battle is taking place. Cedric is fighting desperately, not with a sword, but with his words, trying to save his mind-controlled father Henrik, who has descended to the arena floor to attack them. And on the flip side of that, Talonor is coldly calculating the ruthless execution of General Durug. So you have these two intense, deeply personal encounters playing out just yards away from each other. Let's focus on Cedric first. He's calling out to his dad, who is actively attacking the party in this thigh-high water. Cedric yells out, "Don't you remember the first time you took me hunting?" And man, you can just hear the desperation in his voice. But you know what? It works. For a moment, the battle seems to just disappear around them. Henrik's face twists. He is fighting an enemy no blade can reach. Actually, it's more like an enemy inside his own head, the mind control of High General Thraskall. And slowly, through the memory of his son, he begins to win. What you absolutely need to take away from this is the sheer power of their bond. It breaks a magical hold that brute force never, ever could have touched. Section 4. Death of a Tyrant. A Cold Execution. Shifting our focus across the arena, the tone goes absolutely ice cold. Durug turns to see Talonor closing in, takes a blade to the back, and drops to one knee. He looks upward into the eyes of the elf, who had just spent days in the arena mocking his weakness. And even with a blade in his back, the tyrant spits out this final, venomous insult. "You rat." It's a real testament to Durug's sheer stubbornness and hatred, right up to the very end. But Talonor, he doesn't even flinch. He just stares down at him and delivers this incredibly ruthless response. "I am no rat. You're just weak, and it's time you were called." I mean, wow, it is incredibly dark. It really highlights the deeply calculated, almost detached nature of this kill. There is no grand duel here. It's just a cold execution. And then he twisted the blade. General Durug fell. It's a massive, heavy moment for the Chronicle. The tyrant of Irondale, the orchestrator of so much of their misery, is dead, slain right there in the bloody waters of his own flooded arena. Section 5. A Cruel Farewell. The Retreat. Zooming back out to the wider battle, things are getting completely critical. Ravenna Solstice is struggling to hold the gateway open, magic crackling violently around her shaking arms as she screams for the army to leave. The portal is closing and they need to get out right now. The Crystal Soldiers fall back. Hammerdeep's warriors withdraw, the massive treants lumber back toward the portal. Jeremiah and Father Eric, who successfully reached Cedric, are now carrying an unconscious Henrik Featherstep to safety. And hilariously, even Brom Coulson, who honestly only ever intended to watch the war, gets swept up in the chaotic escape and just runs through the portal. One by one, the survivors cross. And then comes Ord. He stops at the portal and looks back at Taelenor. For one brief instant, Ord's face lights up with the pure happiness he had before Taelenor left them. Taelenor walks over, kneels down, and puts a hand on his shoulder. Ord is waiting, hoping his friend is coming back with them. But instead, Taelenor leans in and delivers this chilling threat. If you come back to Irondale, you will die. And before Ord can even fully process it, Taelenor shoves the young lizard folk backward through the portal. The gateway snaps shut between them, and that happiness, it just vanishes from Ord's face. For the remainder of that day, Ord said almost nothing. The emotional cost here is immense. It's a stark reminder to all of us that surviving a battle doesn't mean you escape without deep, permanent scars. The party's permanently fractured now, and for this young lizard folk, the isolation is absolutely heartbreaking. Section 6. Return to Hammerdeep, the aftermath. So the army returns to absolute sheer confusion. Goblo Defoe and King Dornick are met with this bizarre parade of wounded soldiers, trenched sharks, and an unconscious Henrik Featherstep. Dornick asks what on earth happened, and Cedric delivers the blunt truth. Irondale is lost, taken by the Dark Dwarves. But, as always with the Knollsbane, the high drama eventually gives way to something completely undignified. Hours later in a tavern, Bram Coulson starts arguing with Cedric about not being allowed to help earlier, specifically blaming that stupid, dumb, idiot Taelenor. Accusations devolve into insults somehow become negotiations, and the whole shebang culminates in Bram Coulson literally dropping to his knees and kissing Okazaki's feet to restore relations. It's absolutely bizarre, but you know what? It finally makes the party laugh. It's a desperately needed brief moment of levity. Yet, the Chronicle doesn't let us forget the toll this all took. One chair remained painfully empty, and one young lizard folk remained unusually quiet. The Knollsbane are together again. Mostly. It's a really somber reality to sit with. They survived the battle. They saved Henrik, sure, but the bittersweet cost of a fractured family hangs over that entire tavern. Which leads us directly into our final thought for today's explainer. With Irondale now fully in Dorgar hands and their party undeniably broken, how will the Knollsbane survive the coming darkness? It's a question that sets up massive stakes for the future and leaves us all on the edge of our seats. Thank you so much for joining me to unpack this incredible battle. Keep your eyes on the source material, keep exploring the lore, and I will see you in the next explainer.